We're still on chapter 2. How this happen? How this the religion started? How it began? So now we resume. Malaysians of the Pacific Islands and natives of Africa and America Marriott concluded that instead of having the notion of a personal soul, primitive people believed there was an impersonal force or supernatural power that animated everything. That beliefs evoke emotions, awe, and fear in men, which became the base for his primitive religion. To Marate, religion was mainly a man emotion response to the unknown. His favorite statement was that religion was not so much thought out as danced out. In 1820, the Scottish expert in ancient folklore James Fraser, 1854 to 1941, published the influence book The Golden Bough, in which he argued that religion grew out of magic. According to Fraser, man first tried to control his own life and his environment by imitating what he saw happening in nature. For example, he thought that he could invoke rain by sprinkling water on the ground to the accompaniment of thunder like drum beats, and that could cause the enemy harm by sticking pins in an effigy. This led to use of ritual spells and magical objects in many areas of life. When this did not work as expected, he then turned to placing and beseeching the help of supernatural powers instead of trying to control them. The rituals and incantations became sacrifice and prayers, and thus religion began. In Fraser's world, religion and propitiation of conciliation of powers superior to man. Even the noted Austrian psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, 1857-1939, in his book Totem and Taboo, tried to explain the origin of original through his professions. See, this man is the Austrian psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud attributed religion to fear of the father figure. Freud explained that the earliest religion grew out of what he called a father figure neurosis. He theorized that, as was true with wild horses and cattle in primitive society, the father dominated the land. The son, who both hated and admired the father, rebelled and killed the father to acquire the father's power. Freud claimed these cannibalistic savages ate their victim. Later, out of remorse, they invented rites and rituals to atone for their actions. In Freud theory, the father figure became gods, the rites and the rituals became the earliest religion, and the eating of the slain father became the tradition of communion practice in many religions. Numerous other theories that are attempts to explain the origin of religion could be cited, most of whoever have been forgotten. None of them have really stood out as more credible or acceptable than the others. Why simply because this was never any historical evidence or proof that these theories were true. They were purely products of some investigators' imaginations or conjecture, sooner to be replaced by the next one that come along. We still have more to learn. A faulty foundation. After years of struggling with the issue, many have now came to the conclusion that it is the most unlikely that there will be any breakthrough in finding the answer to questioning of how religion began. First of all, this is because bones and remains of ancient people don't tell us how these people thought, what they feared, or why they worshipped. Any conclusion drawn these artifacts are educated quizzes at the best. Second, the religion practice of today's so-called primitive people such as the Australian Aborigines and not necessarily a reliable gauge for measuring what people of ancient times did or thought. No one knows for sure if and how their culture changed over the centuries. Because of all the uncertainties, the Book of World Religions from ancient history to the present concludes that the modern historian of religions know that it is important to reach the origins of religion. Regarding the historian's efforts, whoever the book makes this observation. In the past, so many theories were concerned not simply to describe or explain religion, but to explain it away, feeling that if the early forms were shown to be based upon illusions, then the later higher religions might be understanding. In that fact, last comment lies the clue to us to say various scientific investigators of origin of religion have not come up with any tenable explanation. Logic tells us what the premise that the earth was the center of the universe led to Rukoa's conclusions about planetary movement. Planetary movement. Correct conclusion can be deduced only from a correct premise. If one starts off with a faulty premise, it's unlikely that no one will reach sound conclusion. The repeat failure of the scientific investigators to come up with a reasonable explanation cuts serious about on the premise upon which they based their views. By following the preconceived notion in their efforts to explain religion way, they have attempted to explain God's way. The situation can be compared to the many ways. Astronomers prior to the 16th century tried to explain the movement of planets. There were many theories, but none of them were really satisfactory. Why? Because they were based upon the assumption that the earth was the center of the universe, around which the stars and planets revolved. Real progress was not made until scientists and the Catholic Church were willing to accept the fact. Why is man religious? John B. Noss points out in his book, Men Religious, All Religious say in one way or other that man does not and cannot stand alone. He is vital, related with, or even depend on powers in nature and society external to himself. Dimly or clearly, he knows that he is not an independent center of the force capable of standing apart from the world. Similarly, in the book World Religious from Ancient History to the present says, the study of the religion reveals that an important feature of its longing for value in life belief that life is not accidental, meaningless. The search, the meaning leads to the faith in the power greater than the human finally. The universal or superhuman mind which has the intention and will do maintain the highest value for human life. So religion satisfies a basic human need such as food satisfies our hunger. We know that eating indiscriminately when we were hungry, we may stop the pangs of hunger in the long run. However, it will damage our health. The lead of healthy life, we need food that is wholesome and nutritious. Likewise, we need wholesome spiritual food to maintain our spiritual health. That is why the Bible tells us not by bread alone does not live, but by every expression of Jehovah's mouth. Deuteronomy is what it says. That the earth was not the center of the universe, but they revolved around the sun. Revolved around the sun. The center of the solar system. The failure of the many theories to explain the facts lead upon minded individuals not to try to come up with new theories, but to re-examine the premise of the investigations, and that led to success. The principles can be applied to investigation of the origin of a religion because of the rise of atheism, and the widespread acceptance of the theory of evolution. Many people have taken for granted that God does not exist. Based on these assumptions, they tell that explanation the existence of origin to be found in man himself is his thought process, his needs, his fears, his neuroses. Voltaire stated, if did God not exist, would it be necessary to invent him? So why they argue that man has invented God? Since the many theories have failed to provide a truly satisfying answer, it will not time now to re-examine the premise upon which these investigations were based, instead of laboring fruitlessly in the same rut. Would it not be logically to look elsewhere for the answer? If we were willing to open-minded, we will agree that to do so is both reasonable and scientific. And we have just such example to help us see logic beyond this course. Ancient inquiry. Mhm. In the first century of Common Era Athens, what was the erroneous premise underlying scientific investigation of religion origin? To two fundamental needs did Voltaire refer? What logic conclusion can be drawn from the failure of the many theories on the origin of religion? How did the Athenians' many theories about their gods affect their way of worship? I think we will just stop here for today. Please don't forget to subscribe. And next time, I would like you, when I give you this reading, make sure there is a Bible in around you, so that whatever I quote, you'll just check it inside your Bible. Yeah, please just subscribe, and you may also invite others to come and listen. I thank you.